so apologize for the late timing of the uploaded video, but it's still Monday, so whoo, Monday. I'm drinking my caffeinated goodness, deliciousness, whatever. Song I don't know how to pronounce, but it's Mongolian metal. It's called, the band I know is called the HU. It's pretty good. I like it. Anyway, we're on chapter 8 of Reaper Adventures Imprisonment. This has a mention of torture. This chapter, anyway, has a mention of torture. And it has the introduction of the 3 new characters I've been talking about. So, whoop whoop. But really, it's not kid-friendly, so don't bring your kids because of the mentions of torture, the one or more scenes of torture, the scene of slaughter of angels by another angel, and eventual escape from Eden's prison, and these 3 new characters. So, don't bring your kids. Really, really bad idea to bring your kids. Like I always say, there's no curse words or sex scenes, but there's all of that, and blah. So anyway, we're on chapter 8 of Reaper Adventures Imprisonment, and it's Monday. And I have a crusty in my eye, but we're going to continue. My little kitty. Chapter 8. It was as the Archangel Gabriel had told the Archangel Raphael. If you don't recall, last chapter there was a very short conversation between the two, so, moving on. The demon had been tortured within the walls of Eden's prison, while the Nephilim had been tortured in public once more, in increasingly near successes of drawing the Archangel Raphael to reveal himself as the Nephilim's father. Wow, my eyes are really bloodshot. I must be exhausted. Anyway. Continuing, I've got glue on my face too. Anyway. The demon was inside his cell, Seal Master Cassiel making sure the seals would not overwhelm the demon as the demon's blood was absorbed by the seals that made up every cell in Eden's prison. Yes. Because that's how they contain supernatural prisoners. Through seals and other things. Seals. And more seals. Moving on. The Archangel Raphael decided to not resist putting the demon as his first priority. Seal Master Cassiel was not the former Seal Master Nathaniel, after all, and because of that fact, the Archangel Raphael knew that Seal Master Cassiel had limitations. It appeared as if Seal Master Cassiel was beginning to reach those limitations at this point in time as well. Because, yeah. The Archangel Raphael entered the demon's cell and was greeted by an annoyed glance that was quickly shifted to the wall of the cell. Hi, little girl. How you doing? You in Sniffergate and Muffy? I think you in play mode. Don't attack my feet, please. Thank you. Moving on. To the wall of the cell. The Archangel Raphael silently inquired the demon's permission to treat the bleeding wounds by holding out the bowl full of ointment. I do really have a lot of glitter on my face. I had a little go to my makeup today, but I'm tired, so. The demon studied the bowl, took a breath, and held it, considering his options. Though the angel outside of his cell didn't appear to be becoming exhausted, the small beads of sweat on their brow told the demon a different story. As much as the demon would be thrilled to have the angel outside his cell collapse, from sheer exhaustion, I said that weird. Exhaustion. There we go. I don't know what's up with my words today, but yeah. He didn't like the thought of nearly being consumed by hellfire again. I think I'm off my game. I'm probably off my game. Anyway. As much as the demon wanted to feel the Nephilim's struggle to keep his soul intact and taste the Nephilim's blood once more, he had to admit that it wasn't as appealing as it would have been before he had gotten to know the Nephilim to a slight degree. He hated to admit that fact. He hated to admit that the Nephilim was probably right. Apparently, he still had a slight conscience. Ooh, that was good, but we're good. The demon processed that information in a second and slowly released his breath as he turned his bleeding back to the Archangel Raphael. Excuse me, I burped. Silently giving him permission to tend to his wounds. The Archangel Raphael slowly released his breath that he didn't know he had been holding, and began to tend to the demon's torn wings and shredded back. The demon endured this in annoyed silence, his tail twitching every so often with silent displeasure. He didn't voice any discomfort or indicate any kind of pain as the ointment was carefully applied to his wings and back. Caffeine, you better not play with those wires, Missy. But I love you. My kitty. Seal Master Casael took his leave soon after the demon's wound stopped oozing blood. The two keepers of peace were still cleaning their tools, and therefore absent from their posts. Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order, who had not been in public today, more than likely she was responsible for the demon's wounds. This meant she would be washing the demon's blood from her body. The Archangel Raphael paused when he realized that, and the demon took notice at the lack of ointment being no longer applied. He looked at the Archangel Raphael, took mental note of the resemblance that the Nephilim bore to the Archangel Raphael, and snorted as the Archangel Raphael became thoughtful. The Archangel Raphael was instantly snapped back to his current task and glanced apologetically at the demon. The demon raised an eyebrow and turned his attention back to the wall in front of him, never once speaking as the Archangel Raphael finished tending to his wounds. The Archangel Raphael dressed the demon's wounds, making sure that the demon's wings were only slightly restricted, explaining that they needed to heal properly before full mobility was to be allowed once more. The demon was obviously not thrilled about that fact. Get down from there, Missy, you know better. Sorry. The demon was obviously not thrilled about that fact, but said nothing as the Archangel Raphael stood up and left to tend to the Nephilim's wounds. The Archangel Raphael glanced around as he tended to the Nephilim's wounds. The Nephilim noticed that the Archangel Raphael was distracted, though he tended to his wounds without speaking. Something's on your mind, Cain commented as he glanced at the Archangel Raphael. I suppose it is obvious. How many times do we tell you not to go up there? Huh? How many times? Sorry about that. She knows better, too. I know she knows better, and she still does it. Moving on. I suppose it is obvious. The Archangel Raphael sighed after a slight surprised pause. Just a bit, Payne said, as he looked at the wall in front of him. The Archangel Raphael wanted to tell the Nephilim that he was, as well as his brothers, were attempting to get him his freedom. The Archangel Raphael knew better than to speak of that, though, especially in Eden's prison. Don't you go up on that TV counter again, Missy. You know better. I apologize. Moving on. Especially in Eden's prison. The Archangel Raphael finished tending the Nephilim's wounds just as the Keeper of Peace Nile and the Keeper of Peace Anala returned. Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order was with them, and the Archangel Raphael gave the report on both of her prisoners, carefully watching Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order's brother, Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order. And, yeah. In their vessels, the siblings looked nothing alike. You better not. You can play with a clothespin, just don't go sneaking up on that TV counter, you hear me? Sorry. Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order. In their vessels, the siblings looked nothing alike. Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order had dark skin, black hair, and dark blue eyes. Her brother, Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order, was fair-skinned with gold hair and ice blue eyes. Of the two of them, the Archangel Raphael wanted to cross no one. If he had to choose, though, he would rather anger Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order. While Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order could be extremely sadistic, Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order could use his spiritual energy to cause extreme pain and make that agony occur while the Archangel Raphael healed the wounds that had been inflicted, which has really got to suck for someone who likes to heal people. I have no idea what my kitty's doing. Prince Lucius of the angelic order gave no indication that he noticed the Archangel Raphael as he gazed with indifference at the demon inside his cell. "How odd," Prince Lucius of the angelic order said, seemingly to himself. "I have never seen a demon with silver eyes," he stated as he narrowed his eyes. "Keeping an eye on you, Missy." "Sorry." "I have never seen a demon with silver eyes." Oh, we already read that. Okay. The Archangel Raphael glanced at the demon and wondered if the glare he was giving Prince Lucius of the angelic order was an attempt to hide the demon's unease. The tension, though unnoticed if you did not know what to look for, was more than enough to let the Archangel Raphael know that fact. "Did your clothespin get stuck under the carpet?" Sorry. Moving on. "Admittedly, it is odd," Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order agreed as Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order stepped to the cell of the demon's door, his emotionless expression becoming thoughtful. Good thing I reread that. His ice blue eyes gained a slight gleam to them, and the Archangel Raphael knew Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order was reading the demon's spiritual energy. The demon growled softly as his tail twitched. Bleh. Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order's eyes returned to their normal state, and he gave no indication that anything was wrong. He turned his attention to the Nephilim cell, and the Archangel Raphael resisted the urge to hold his breath, as Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order's eyes gleamed again. The Nephilim was resting from his session, and did not see Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order's eyes widen ever so slightly. Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order heard her brother's breath catch quietly in his throat before his eyes became normal once more. "What is it, brother?" Princess Ariel of the Angelic Order questioned with concern. Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order did not reply, not because he did not want to, but because he did not know how to answer his sister's question. The Keeper of Peace and Nala was watching Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order, suddenly feeling the slow trickle of worry when realization that Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order had shown a small degree of fear. "Archangel Raphael, you are to attend me as I check my prisoners," Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order informed the Archangel Raphael. Soda. Sorry, moving on. The Angelic Order informed the Archangel Raphael. The Archangel Raphael dipped his head. Oh, shit, I hope that wasn't covering the speaker, probably. The Archangel Raphael dipped his head and obediently, yet reluctantly, followed Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order to the last floor of Eden's prison. The 7th floor that held the first 3 horsemen of the apocalypse. All of the first 3 horsemen of the apocalypse were the half-brothers of the archangels. God, that's gotta be some really, really horrible family reunions. Here you have 3 horsemen of the apocalypse who are half-brothers of all of the archangels.
Like possibly getting paid up to 2 days sooner.
Yeah, that's gotta be awkward. Anyway, half-brothers of the archangels. Yep, there we go. Okay, blah, blah. The Archangel Raphael doubted that his imprisoned half-brothers would be happy to see him. He followed Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order through the door of the 7th and final floor. The door automatically closed behind them, sealing itself with the ancient seals that the former seal master Nathaniel had created. Anyway, when the former seal master Nathaniel had been banished, he had destroyed the records of the ancient seals, effectively making sure that the 3 prisoners could only be released if the Liberator would not use them as a scourge. Because, yeah, but even if they don't have that intention, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. So, moving on. The door would let anyone through, but they would not let anyone out if they had ill intent. If that were to happen, the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse would be temporarily released to feast on the individual's soul. But they wouldn't be able to get beyond the door. Human, demon, angel, or Nephilim. The Archangel Raphael glanced at the cells that were guarded by the stone golems and the doors that were so heavily warded that the prisoners inside had an almost distorted appearance. The Archangel Raphael studied the blurred figure, noticed that they had black hair, and knew who they were. War, the first horseman of the apocalypse. Two red eyes were watching the Archangel Raphael just as he had been watching War. The Archangel Raphael refused to jump as the fiery red eyes darkened to a blood red. Warren noticed the Archangel Raphael's wings tense slightly, and the Archangel Raphael heard a low chuckle that could have been a combination of an annoyed growl. What did I say about that TV counter? Huh? No TV counter. Every other shelf is fine, just not the top. I apologize so much. She's in play mode. She's still young. Turning 8 months at the end of this one. Wow, Jesus Christ. Okay, moving on. That could have been a combination of an annoyed growl. There we go. Hello, brother. A familiar voice greeted. Famine, the second horseman of the apocalypse, sneered as the Archangel Raphael whirled around to face him. War chuckled with amusement behind the Archangel Raphael as the Archangel Raphael met Famine's pitch-black eyes. They looked almost demonic in nature, but stop going up on that counter! But even a demon's black eyes would have a shine to them. Famine's eyes did not have any shine. They were two black voids that the Archangel Raphael assumed a black hole's center would look like, rimmed by white and forever empty after the misleading appearance of light. The Archangel Raphael took on the appearance of Famine, and then noticed the crisscrossing spiderweb lines underneath his brother Famine's eyes. He knew at once after that observation, War, Famine, and Pestilence were slowly starving. Oh, gosh, my little kingdom. Were slowly starving. Pestilence had not let his presence be known. The Archangel Raphael went to the third cell and saw Pestilence studying him in silence. Pestilence said nothing, but pointed to the Archangel Raphael, and then lowered his hand when the Archangel Raphael glanced over his shoulder to see a fourth cell that was empty. If that cell is for death, it will not hold him. The Archangel Raphael told Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order when he appeared beside the Archangel Raphael. It is not for death, Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order said. He noticed the Archangel Raphael's confused expression. A little bit of a tickle in my throat. It is for the Nephilim's father, whenever they reveal themselves, Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order stated as he looked at the cell. The Archangel Raphael was glad that Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order was not facing him. He knew he had paled enough for anyone to notice with that information now in his brain. Soda break. Bless you, little girl. Moving on. Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order had turned to face the Archangel Raphael, and noticed that the Archangel Raphael did not appear well. He knew that the wards on the cells of the three horsemen tended to affect anyone who was not accustomed to them. Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order escorted the Archangel Raphael out of Eden's prison's final floor, apologizing once and making sure no contents of the Archangel Raphael's lunch went into his hair, because, yes, oh, shit. Apparently that can happen. Oh, this is a good song. Anyway, moving on. This is called Blood Red Roses. I do not know who sings it, but it's a very good song. I like it a lot. Moving on. We're actually on the last paragraph, just to let you know. So we're gonna move on. Prince Lucius of the Angelic Order helped the Archangel Raphael to his residence and told the Archangel Raphael that to get rid of the effects of the powerful wards was rest and water, much like a human with the flu. Or any type of illness. Rest, water, fluids, rest. Yeah. Excuse me, I burped. The Archangel Raphael did not argue, and breathed a strangled sigh of relief that quickly vanished into panic before he drifted into much-needed sleep. There was a cell reserved for him if he revealed himself to be the Nephilim's father. That was the final blurred thought the Archangel Raphael had before the valiant effort to stay awake failed. And that's the end of chapter 8. We're on chapter 9 for next week. And forewarning, I think there's only 11 chapters. So, in that case, if there is only 11 chapters, as I believe there to be... Yes, there's only 11 chapters. So there's only... Oh, shit, there's only 3 more chapters left to go in book number 2. Yeah. So, chapter 9 for next week. Woo-hoo. And chapter 9 marks 3 more chapters to go, so we're doing okay. We're doing okay. I just gotta kind of catch up on my writing, because I'm catching up on where I'm almost at. So, anyway, I have some accounts if any of you are all interested. I have a Wattpad account, which is at Tempesta771. I have a TikTok account, which is at AirjunCraven2. No uppercases, no spaces, under the name Tempesta Braveheart. I have an Instagram under the name Tempesta Braveheart. No uppercases, no spaces, which you could probably find if you go up under the name AirjunCraven. I hope you weren't on top of that counter. You can look for AirjunCraven if you want to friend request me on Facebook. I will do my best to accept you if I don't know you. But if you turn out to be really, really kind of creepy, I'm going to block you. Because that's just what I do. If I don't think that you're, you know... Here's my kitty. Here's my kitty cat. Don't fuck with things up there. Forgive the potty mouth. I also have a Snapchat account, which is under the name AirjunCraven. No uppercases, no spaces, and we're watching my YouTube, woo, which is under the name Tempesta Braveheart. But yeah, we have 3 more chapters to go. Chapter 9 for next Monday, and after book number 2 is done, we move on to book number 3. Oh my goodness gracious. Anyway, chapter 9 next Monday. And yeah, don't bring your kids, because I already told you why. So, woo. Okay. I'm going to have a soda break real quick, because soda. Anything caffeinated, nectar of the gods. Anyway, peace out, Girl Scouts, and enjoy the mental hilarity.